Welcome, dear friends and family of Gloria Nadine McRae Martin. Welcome, Christian Church Disciples of Christ of Northern California and Nevada, who have come from many different places to celebrate this saint of the church. Just a few announcements that if you could please silence your cell phones and even place them on airplane mode, it helps in the live streaming of our service for those who are joining us right now online. We appreciate your assistance in this venture. Folks, we gather today to celebrate the life of a remarkable woman who graced the world with beauty, with wisdom and music, all wrapped tightly in a petite package of love. We have chosen to do this celebration in one of her cherished places, a space not only where her faith was nurtured, but also where she nurtured the faith of others. Gloria occasionally also brought music into this very space, as she did so in many other places. And even now, if you listen carefully, the harmonies of her spirit still resonate among these walls, as well as in our hearts. In this space, we honor the one whom some of our church folks would greet on Sunday morning saying, "How's our morning glory today?" On this day, we celebrate how this world and our lives were made better by Gloria's gifts. And if you would like to give a gift in honor of Gloria this day, we ask that memorial gifts be given to either this church's music fund or your own church in honor of her. Today, we invite you, dear friends, all who mourn, to come into this space, and God shall hold you, and you will not be alone in the pain of your loss. All of you whose hearts are grieving, come, and God's arms shall enfold you. Take comfort, for our tears of sorrow will mingle together, and we shall find strength in the presence of one another this day. God, our keeper, has seen and shall not turn away. God, our shelter, is with us now and shall always remain. Thanks be to God.
Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Larry Love, and I am the pastor of the Christian Church of Woodland, and the son-in-law of Gloria and Ellis Martin. And on behalf of Alice, Cindy, Nancy, and the whole of the Martin Rhinus Love family, I welcome you and thank you for being here at this celebration of life, honoring a well-lived life. And I thank you for supporting us, who are her much-loved family. Our hearts are warmed and comforted by your gracious presence here. We are so fortunate to have with us two of Gloria's pastors. Well, three, if you count Ellis. And we certainly must count Ellis. Gloria has known Janet since she was a little girl, because Janet's father was the pastor in Kalispell, Montana, when Ellis was the pastor at Columbia Falls and Whitefish.
Oh my God.
So I've known Janet a very long time. And of course, Janet has been Gloria's pastor here in Redding for the last seven years. And also here participating is Heather Hennessy, who was Gloria's pastor for 12, 13 years. I know you were here longer than that, but they came a little later. And we thank you both for your pastoral care for Gloria over the years and for your participation in this celebration of life. And thank you all for your presence here this day. You make a blessed and comforting difference in our lives this day. For our call to worship, I read from Isaiah 43. But now thus says the Lord, the one who created you, the one who formed you. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. You are precious in my sight and honored, and I love you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Though these words were first spoken to the ancient people of Israel, I believe these words are yet true of us who gather here today some 2,500 years after they were first spoken. I believe these words continue to be true of Gloria, and they are true of each and every one of us as we pass through this river of grief and deal with this pain of loss. As the beloved children of God, let us celebrate God, the goodness of God, even as we celebrate Gloria's well-lived and beloved life. Please join with me in singing our opening hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth. And I invite you to stand.
Would you join me in prayer? O God, whose days are without end, and whose mercies cannot be counted, awaken us to the shortness and uncertainty of human life. By your Holy Spirit, lead us in faithfulness all of our days. And when we have served you in our generation, may we be gathered with those who have gone before, having the testimony of a good conscience, in the confidence of a certain faith, in the comfort of a saving hope, in favor with you, our God, and at perfect peace with the world. Amen.
That was not necessarily my job, but I did it anyway. I don't know whether I'm going to make it through this or not, but I'm going to spout just a little bit before I do the eulogy. I am angry. I'm angry because Gloria was born in Yakima, Washington, when they were developing the atomic bomb. And she received a dose of radiation when she was growing up that affected her thyroid. And she suffered from allergies all her life. Please don't talk to me favorably about any atomic weapons or any atomic energy. I feel that they killed Gloria prematurely. I'm sorry, but I had to say that. I probably shouldn't do this either, but I'm going to.
You wouldn't be Ellis if you didn't.
Sometime in the fall of, I can remember when I graduated from high school, in the fall of 1957, I think it was, my father and I had gone to Walla Walla, Washington. He was looking for a place to move to or a job. And we were going back to Ardmore, Washington, and we had this hot summer day, sometime in September, through the wheatland of eastern Washington. The air conditioning was on in the car, that is, all four windows were rolled down. And I was half asleep. But all of a sudden something happened. Nothing dramatic or sound, but all of a sudden I felt God calling me to the pastorate. I was a shy teenager. I didn't have enough courage to stand up before 3 people and talk. I felt that God was out of his cotton-picking mind. So I ignored it. We moved to Oregon. And after a couple of years, my family was playing pinochle. And all of a sudden, God spoke to me again and said, I've called you to the pastorate. Get busy. Well, I fooled around a little bit, but then I went down to Northwest Christian College and enrolled. This is spring term. Don't ever enroll in a college in spring term. It's difficult. But Dr. Griffith, that's a story in itself. Got down there and Dora asked if she could help me, and I said, yeah, I'm interested in going to college. She turned around and went in to talk to the president of the college, said, Dr. Griffith, I got a young man out here that wants to go to college. What do I do with him? Well, Dr. Griffith signed me up, even though I was stone broke and told him so. But then, after I was enrolled in college and really going to work towards the ministry, I got notice from the draft board that I had to report to Portland to go into the service. And as I was riding the bus into Portland, I thought, I might just want to get it over with. I had 2 brothers that had been in the service. I'll go ahead and do it. I got down there. The sergeant in charge of the recruiting station succeeded in changing my mind. He lectured us for an hour about what low-down scum we were, and the longer he talked, the better I got. His concluding statement was, I'm here to do everything legal or illegal to get you into the service, and I expect you're going to do everything legal or illegal to get out of the service. Well, you don't say anything to a sergeant like that, but I thought a lot. As soon as I got... Some of you know I have mitral valve prolapse. I had it then. I was 17 pounds under the minimum weight limit, but I could walk and I could breathe, so I passed. soon as I got home, I accepted the sergeant's challenge. I contacted everybody I knew about, the president of the college, my pastor, Horace Doty, to see if I had to go in the service. Guess what? They changed my classification because I was enrolled in college. Now the point of that story is this, and I didn't realize this until a number of years later. God used that sergeant to change my mind about going into the service. Because when I went to Portland, I was going to go into the Army. But by the time I got through listening to that sergeant, I decided differently. If I had gone into the Army, I would never have met Gloria. Sorry about that. As I mentioned, Gloria was born in 1932. And for most people today, that doesn't mean anything. But for me and for some of you, it means a whole lot. Because people at that time, in 1932, many of them had very great difficulty feeding their families. And Gloria's family was in turmoil. I do not know all of the details, but I do know that Gloria's mother has a hard time handling difficulty. And Gloria was born with nystagmus. That's a rapid movement of the eyes. It can be in several different things. But that bothered her all the way through school. Some of the kids made fun of her. She did not participate very much in school activities, practically not at all in grade school, very little in junior high. And she began participating in high school. But she went home to an empty house every night after school. Her only companion was their dog, Samuel. That might be significant for what you're going to do. When she was 2 or 3 years old, she contracted polio. It affected one of her legs, but fortunately there was a friend of the family. I think he may have been a chiropractor. But every night, every afternoon or evening, he came over and manipulated and maneuvered her leg. And he did this every day for several weeks until she regained normal use of her leg. But then when she was about 10 years old, she became very allergic to a whole bunch of things. Had a hard time breathing. She talked to me about having to catch a bus after school, take a bus to downtown Yakima, to the largest building there, go over and walk into an elevator that was usually full of adults. And she said, it was very difficult for me as a little girl to get into that elevator with a whole bunch of big people and ride up to one of the higher elevations and go to the doctor's office. She had to get her weekly shot for her allergies. I understand her extreme dislike for anything that had to do with the medical. Her strength was music. When she was in grade school, she began taking piano lessons. As she grew older, the lessons included the large pipe organ that was in First Christian Church in Yakima, Washington. In junior high, she began playing the piano for the men's class at the church. And she continued this activity every Sunday until she graduated from high school. Gloria's parents were both teachers, and they developed a plan for her life. They decided that she should be a teacher, attend college in Ellensburg, Washington, and start teaching school in Yakima. Well, those of you who know Gloria know she's very quiet. She tends not to talk back and raise any kind of a fuss. She didn't say very much to her parents, but she graduated from high school. And then she said, I'm not going to Ellenford. I'm going to Northwest Christian College in Eugene. Well, needless to say, her parents really argued with her and argued with her and argued with her, but, you know, it doesn't do any good to argue with Gloria. If she doesn't want to change her mind, she doesn't do it. They finally consented to allowing her to go to college. But you know what her mother's primary argument was? If you go to NCC, you're going to marry some young preacher and we don't know where you're going to end up. Well, her mother was right. After Gloria enrolled at NCC, she enrolled in the fall of 1951, and I had enrolled in the spring of 1951. She sang at the NCC choir. She was a member of a women's quartet that did a tour of California. And she also played in some of the smaller churches, played the piano for them. Gloria and I started dating in the spring of 1953. We kept in touch through the summer and resumed our dating when school started. We really liked each other and could talk about anything. Our communications with each other was excellent, and I would say that we became very good friends before we fell in love. We did most all of our studying together. Probably couldn't happen today, but back when we were going to school, the administration building at NCC was never locked up. So in the late after we'd eaten supper, Gloria and I would get together and we'd take our books and we'd go into the ad building and find an empty room and we'd study together. Administration, I don't think ever knew that, but then. We decided during our junior year that we were going to get married at the end of that school year. Well, again, Gloria was in conflict with her parents. And the mother said, no, you're not going to get married. If you get married, you're going to get pregnant, you'll never graduate. Well, Gloria's response was, we are going to get married. I will not get pregnant. I will graduate. And Gloria was right, that's what happened. We did get married. Both Gloria and I felt we had an outstanding marriage. We were two people with different backgrounds, making a life together. But when we had differences, we talked about them. And we never carried differences of opinion over to the next day. Differences of opinion are not that important. It's relationships that are important. And we recognize that and we live by it. We made a very important decision when we decided we were going to have children. Gloria had talked to me quite often about going home to an empty house and being there all by herself. And she said, I will not subject my children to going to an empty house after school. So we made the decision very, very early that Gloria was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And she was. From my point of view, Gloria was an excellent pastor's wife. She loved to talk to people, and she made friends readily. But because she was the pastor's wife, she refused to take any office in the church. because she did not ever want to be into any kind of a conflict with me and what I was trying to accomplish. She was more than willing to help out in any way that she could as far as the music program was concerned. But she was very, very careful not to ever come into conflict with any of our parishioners. And that was a very good asset. From my very biased point of view, Gloria was a very beautiful person. And I think she epitomized what it means to be a person of faith. I don't know how I'm going to get along with her. I need to give the family, any of them, an opportunity to talk.
Can I shoot daggers at you now?
Go right in.
Thank you, Dad. Originally, when we were talking about the family talking, I thought Cindy was going to have a few words, but it's just me. So Becky, you did this last week. I can do this week, right? You want to come up and read it for me? As you all know, as you're sitting here today, you realize that families come in all different sizes and shapes and dynamics. And from what you kind of understood from what Dad said just a few minutes ago, ours, Cindy and I, were truly, truly blessed to have been born into a family of unconditional love. I have to share this quote. It's from Rob Bell. It's not my quote, from his movie video Zoom. No, Lump. I'm sorry, Lump. It's a Zoom video. When the little boy had stolen a toy and the father comes in and says, "There is nothing you could ever do that would make me love you less." Growing up, I have to share with you that I knew innately that there was nothing I could ever do that would make my parents hard. Yes. That would make my parents love me less. And I was going to say, yes, Cindy, I pushed that envelope often. Often. You wouldn't realize the days that my mom would tell me, "Wait till your dad gets home." Cindy was the one always rolling her eyes at me, and I was always the one needing that. But I always knew, no matter how much I acted out, and I did act out, I was the young brat. I was the baby in the family. I was the youngest. I was literally the brat. I know that. But there was nothing I could ever do that would make my mom and dad love me less. I knew that no matter what I did, I was a part of this family. No matter what Cindy did, I was a part of this family. Yeah. As you heard, my mom and dad met 69 years ago, and they've been married 67 years. They taught me that unconditional love. And I have to tell you, up until the end, I saw that. You know, those marriage vows, they're marriage vows that I only did once, but what is it? I love you in sickness and health. Richer, poor, and sickness and health. Yeah, whatever it is. I don't think my mom ever said she would obey, but maybe she did. I don't know. But I don't think she did. But I recognized on the day before my mom died, February 21st, the whole family was there. Rachel flew Micah down from Seattle so the whole family could be surrounding my mom, because we knew she was nearing the end. And that last day, she was somewhat conscious, and she was moaning, and she was able to talk to us. We would say, "We love you, Mom," and she would say, "I love you too." And she needed people on both sides of her to hold her hand. And she would grasp your hand with a firm grasp on that day. And at one point, when Mom was a little bit more uncomfortable and she was moaning, my dad came around the bed. I have to share this with you because it's a vision I will carry with me to the end of my life. my dad came around the bed, put his hands around her shoulders and said, "What can I get for you, my darling?" 67 years of life, and she was still his darling. I will always remember that, Dad. And that last day, too, you all knew my mom. She was polite up until the end. I don't know that I could be, but she was. We were instructed by the hospice nurses, Cindy and Rachel told me, that when she was more awake, you needed to offer her fluid to keep her mouth moist. And we would give her the wet sponge in her mouth. And so whenever she was more awake, we would say, "Mom, do you want a drink?" And she would usually nod her head yes, but sometimes she would say yes. But whenever she said yes, she would say what? "Yes, please." The day before she died, she was still saying, "Yes, please." I will always carry that with me too. Politeness matters. I can remember there was one year that both my two kids, Mike and Alexa, were away at camp, church camp, Community of the Great Commission, and Larry was there at one of the camps doing something. And I remember my mom has always told me in my marriage, never take your husband for granted. Never take your spouse for granted. I know how easy that is to do, but don't ever take your spouse for granted. And I remember that one year when I found out that Micah and Alexa and Larry were both going to be away at CGC for a week, I'm thinking, yes, I've got the house to myself for a whole week. Well, my family, my mom and dad always knew that come Wednesday or Thursday, I was tired of it. I was ready for them to be home. I yearned for them in my very soul. And I could remember they would call me at the end of the week and say, "Nancy, how are you doing?" And I shared with my mom this one year. I said, "Well, you know, they're going to come home in a couple of days, and I bought Mike and Alexa a little gift for when they come home, a little welcome home gift. I've missed you." My mom was quiet, and she said, "Nancy, what did you buy for Larry?" And I'm thinking, nothing. And she said, "Nancy, what have I always told you? Don't take your husband for granted. Go out to the store and buy him something." And I did. You know, I can't tell you what it was, but you got something because Mom told me to do it. I have to share this story with you. It's a story that they didn't remember, my mom and dad, as we shared it in years later. But my sister and I both remember the story. My mom and dad never fought. You know, you knew my mom. She was always soft-spoken, very polite, very quiet. My dad, not always so. But there was, and my mom didn't really like to cook. She would usually try to figure out what she wanted to fix like that afternoon. And she fixed what she could with what she had. And so there was one night, Dad comes home from work, and we all sit around. Was it a round table? I seem to think it was a round table. And Dad starts eating, and he looks at the bowl, and he goes, "Gloria, what is this?" And she said, "Well, it's chili, Ellis." And he looks at it again, and he goes, "Where are the beans?" And Mom said something along the lines Cindy told me later, "Well, Ellis, I didn't want to bother you. I know how tired you are. I just fixed what I had." And so Dad did not say a word. He got up from the table, and he left the house. And I have to tell you, honest to God, I felt our family had fallen apart at that point. He had walked out the door, never to come back. Now, in my young years, I didn't recognize the fact that he didn't pack any clothes. But he had his keys in his hand and probably his wallet in his pocket, and he'd gone. And I really, really thought our family life of unconditional love was shattered. Well, about 10, 15 minutes later, he comes back and he plops this bag on the counter, the kitchen counter, and he goes, "There you go, Mom, or Gloria, there's your beans." Now, I don't know, Cindy, did she then put the beans in the pot and heat it up so we could eat it?
I don't remember. We were both traumatized because he was mad.
So then I think we must have eaten the beans, but then all I could remember was the happiness knowing Our family wasn't shattered. He'd gone to the store to get beans for the chili, and our family life was going to go on perfectly. Yeah, that my mom and dad never raised their voice. They never ever
To
fought.
each other.
Yeah, they never fought in front of us.
He raised his voice at us.
He raised his voice to me quite often, yes. But there was a story, and I'm not sure I'm going to share it because I don't know it. But I guess there was something that happened in Marysville at the Buttes. But I wasn't a part of that story, so I'm not going to tell it, but I think somebody raised their voice.
Oh my gosh.
One or the other of them. Was it Mom?
If the roof falls in, it's my fault. Gloria and I had an argument about something, I don't know what it was. And I didn't realize she felt as strongly and was angry as she was. I was arguing with her. And, in a couple of arguing, you're angry. And all of a sudden, Ellis, U-S-O-B. And I looked at her. And I said, Gloria, congratulations on telling me off. Proud of you. And she started laughing at me hard, and that was it.
Now I know my mom would be cringing, so sorry, Mom. My last story about my mom, I think you probably are all already aware. My mom, like myself, and Cindy, as she's gotten older, we are true introverts. And Tony knows this too. We're true introverts. Being around all you guys is not easy. Well, except for you, Sue. When you're an introvert, you recognize, where do you draw your strength? You draw your strength from being alone. That's why I enjoyed my week of church camp with them gone. You draw your strength from being alone. If you're an extrovert, you draw your strength from being around people. So this is not easy for us. And my mom, being a minister's wife all those years, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, if you had ever watched her very much. She could work the room better than any politician I know. Because I can remember in Red Bluff and Corning watching her growing up. I don't want to say she didn't like you guys, because she did. But being around a lot of people was not easy for her. And I would watch her. There was not a group of people around that she had not talked to. She would honestly work the room. She would talk to everybody in that room. And what I found so astonishing afterwards was, and then the next week, she would talk to you about what you had talked about the week before. Like, oh, you said your husband has having problems with this. How's he doing right now? Or how's your dog? Your dog was having issues. I have trouble remembering what I ate the week before. I mean, how could she remember your conversation from a week before? But she did. And I just looked at her in awe. As you all know, I'm a PK, a preacher's kid, but I'm also a minister's wife, too. I can't do that. I am such the introvert. I get so busy in the workings of the church. I don't know, maybe you're not like this, Vicki, I'm sure. But you have a hard time connecting with everybody in the church because you're so busy connecting different business of what you've got to do in the church. So I could go home after a Sunday and realize I didn't talk to 3/4 of the people in that room. But my mom did. She talked to each and every one of you and probably made me feel special. I never had that gift. She did. I want to share with you this poem that came from a book that I picked up when Larry's mother was in hospice years ago. It's from Gone From My Sight. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails into the morning breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. Am I in stand? Can you come over here? No, I don't want to be in front of you. Sorry. A ship at my side spreads her white sails to the morning breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until at length She hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and the sky come to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There, she is gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She is just as large and massed and whole and spar as she was when she left my side, and she is just as able to bear the load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at the moment when someone at my side says, "There, she is gone," there are other eyes watching her coming and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, "Here she comes." That is dying. From Henry Van Dyke.
I met Gloria when I flew from Southern California to Sacramento to come up to interview to become the pastor of First Christian Church in Corning and First Christian Church in Red Bluff. Without knowing, I was also coming to become First Christian Church and pastor of First Christian Church in Redding. They added a third church. Ellis picked me up at the Sacramento airport, brought me back to Marysville, where they were living that time at Butte Christian Manor. And that's where I met Gloria. She was kind and gracious toward me from the very beginning, and continued to be kind and gracious as I began dating her daughter, who I also met that day. When I married her Nancy, she welcomed me as a son. I lost my mom some 18 years ago, but I still had a mom in Gloria. And she loved my children, Mike and Alexa, and they were so very fortunate to have her as a grandmother, as were Rachel and Robert. They all knew that they were deeply beloved persons. And there were a whole lot of people who loved them, but just simply because of Gloria's love for them, they knew they were deeply beloved persons. Kind of saying some of the same things that Alexa said, or Nancy said. I don't know if Gloria ever read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but she didn't know how to do exactly what Dale Carnegie suggests. Show genuine interest in people's lives. She did that. She always made a point of asking me how things were going in my life, how things were going in the church, or some project I was working on around the house or in the community. And she always asked her daughters the same thing and her grandchildren about their lives. And as Nancy said, she did the same thing with a whole bunch of you. At any church gathering, she moved around talking to all kinds of people. But it was not because she was working the room, as if it was some responsibility that she had to fulfill. She just did it because it was a thing that came naturally to her, showing genuine interest in people. It was who she was. With Gloria, I always knew that I was loved and I belonged. And I think most of you can echo that sentiment.
So, as it has been discussed, my grandmother could work a room. She could talk to anybody. But she could do it. She could do it not because she had to work at liking people. She genuinely liked all of you. She would ask about people that We didn't even remember. Oh, how is so-and-so? Wasn't their birthday the other day? She knew all of her nieces and nephews' birthdays. Even if she didn't call or write, she thought of you. I used to think that my Aunt Nancy was willfully obstinate like her father. She's not willfully obstinate like her father. She's like her mother. Grandma did what she wanted to do, when she wanted to do it, how she wanted to do it, whether or not you wanted her to do it that way. And it usually came with a, I'm going to do this, and you need to listen to me. Right now, she is very upset with all of us because she specifically said she didn't want us to do this. So, right now, I need all of you to imagine her looking at you like this. Shaking her finger. A little bit of a smile. Because, if we're being honest, we're doing this because it's what we wanted to do and what we needed to do. Just like her.
The family has chosen a scriptural passage about love, one whose words you will recognize, and I hope they touch your hearts. From Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful. It is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices in the right. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it too will pass away. For our knowledge is imperfect, and our prophecy is imperfect. But when the perfect comes, the imperfect will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall understand fully, even as I have been fully understood. So, faith, hope, love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love.
Ecclesiastes 3 reads like this in part. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. This passage tells us that life is made up of a wide variety of experiences, some of them seemingly the exact opposite of others. And specifically for those of us who gather here today, it says that death is as much a part of life as birth is. They seem to be opposite, but they are both part of being human. Human beings are born and they live a period of years, an average of 78 years. Gloria beat the average by almost 22 years. And then life ends finally in death. What has happened to our beloved Gloria is a natural part of the fact that she was human. Now, simply knowing that death is a normal part of life does not take away the pain that we feel in a time like this, doesn't make it any easier. We are calling this a celebration of life. And indeed, there is a lot to celebrate about Gloria. But it's also true that this celebration is mixed with pain, with grief. It cannot be otherwise. After all, look what we've lost. A wife of 67 years, a mother, grandmother, sister in faith, a friend, someone who loved us all and let us know that. We don't lose a Gloria without grief. And that means there are all kinds of uncomfortable thoughts and feelings churning around inside us. We may feel lost, lonely, numb, maybe even fearful as we contemplate life without her. We may be feeling a deep sadness, a lingering melancholy. Even when the sky is blue and the sun is shining bright, the day may feel gray. And you may be feeling empty. The loss of Gloria's presence does leave an empty space that can never be completely filled up. The pain will ease as time goes along, but we will still always miss her. All of these are very natural feelings, and tears are also natural. We're not always comfortable with tears, but tears are a normal way that human beings have expressed their deepest emotions from the very beginning of the human race. It's okay to cry if that is how you feel like expressing your grief this day. There is, as Ecclesiastes 3 says, a time to weep. The tears and all that's stirring around in you are very normal, very human, and very okay. As we navigate through this time together, I would encourage you to remember and do a couple of things. And the first is that grief takes time. Grief is a natural human response to loss, and none of us escape it easily. Allow yourself time to grieve. Doing so helps us move slowly back into life. Also, the best way to deal with grief is in the company of others who understand our hurt and hurt alongside us. Comfort one another. Something our beloved Gloria did for a lot of us in a lot of situations of life. God very often meets us and comforts us through the company and compassion of other people. And then remember our hope. There is a God made known to us in a lot of different ways, including in the life and the ministry and the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. And what we know about God through Jesus is that God is a God of love, who loves us with a never-ending love. And God is a God of life, who gives us life now, and gives us life beyond now. Jesus once said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. Because I live, you also will live. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." I also like the way that Mark Iaconelli expresses our hope. He writes, "The first thing I try to remember is this: we come from love, and we will return to love. Before parents, before cold and hunger, before color and rhythm and life itself, we were held and created in love. And at the end of our lives, whether death comes calm and peaceful or fearful and tragic, however it comes, at the end, when the last breath escapes, the first thing that will happen is we will return to love." That is our hope, even in the face of something as unnerving as death. And then also remember that while Gloria is gone from our sight, in a very real way, she lives on here in our midst. She lives on in this world. Now, I don't know if that means she is actually an unseen presence with us, You may experience that. It may be comforting for us. I don't know if it's comforting for her to watch us do the silly things that we sometimes do in life. But I do know that she does live on in us and in this world because she has influenced our lives. And thus she lives on in this world through us. She loved music and singing and contributed to this church and to other churches through sharing that music. And it had a positive effect on other people, and that positive effect goes on. She befriended you and many others, checked in with you often, expressed her concern for your life and troubles, and celebrated your joys. She was interested in your life. She connected with people and loved people, and they knew they were loved by her. And she especially did that for those who were her family. She loved us. And she instilled in us some very good values. And in doing so, instilled in us a part of herself. She lives on in this world in all of us who are touched by her love and care and genuine interest in our lives. In the book Tuesdays with Maury Swartz, who is dying, tells his friend Mitch Albom, death ends a life, not a relationship. As long as we can love each other and remember the feeling of love we had, we can die without ever really going away. All the love you created is still there. All the memories are still there. You live on in the hearts of everyone you have touched and nurtured while you were here. Gloria, thankfully, lives on in this world, in all of us. And that means she is not done with this world as her influence continues. And finally, I encourage you to lean on God. Psalm 23 says, God is the shepherd who walks with us through even the darkest valleys, and that there is nothing in all creation that will ever separate us from God's love. However long this sorrow lasts, know that God is indeed with you.